we're going to change the oil, but I always like to check it before we change it, just to see what we've got. So you can see here, it's not low. It's a little dirty. It's not terrible. It's not black. So that's good. I don't anticipate any issues with the engine related to oil. So we're going to go ahead and change the oil at this point. To get to the oil drain plug, we have to remove this little guard here. It basically has a snap type fitting down here, and it's got a couple of features that fit in some slots here. So it basically just slides up. Now you can see the oil filter. You can sort of see the oil drain plug. There's no extension tube here, so it's going to be a little messy changing this oil. When we pull that plug out, the oil is going to run. So what we'll do is try to mitigate that mess and make it as small as possible. So you can see they didn't make this real easy for us. They put a square headed plug here, and you can't really get a wrench in there and turn it the way you would want to. But what you can do in that case, get the right size wrench. In this case it's a 12 millimeter. Fit it on there this wise, and since it's an oil plug, hopefully it won't be that tight. You get a screwdriver and stick it in the back side of the wrench and hold it on there, or give it a little turn, and it is turning, so that's good. I don't need the screwdriver anymore. I'm going to leave that in for a minute. I'm going to try to get something to put under that to catch some of the oil and get it into my catch pan. Okay, if you don't mind a mess all over your garage floor or wherever you're working, you can totally skip this step. But what I did, since there's no drain tube here, this was going to, the oil was going to come out and run all over the frame and just drip wherever. So I made a little aqueduct out of duct tape and a paper plate, so the oil hopefully will come out, run this way and down the paper plate and into my catch pan. At least I tried. If there's a mess, it's not because I didn't try not to make a mess. So let's see how this works. Okay, I'm going to get my wrench back on here and continue loosening this plug now that I've got my makeshift aqueduct made to hopefully direct the flow of the oil where I want it to go instead of wherever it wants to go. And yeah, it's working for the most part. So you can see the oil is coming out of the drain hole. Plug's laying there in front of the hole. Through my duct tape aqueduct, through my paper plate channel, into my oil pan. So we'll let that completely drain out. Then we'll remove the filter. Now that the oil is drained out, we'll go ahead and put the plug back in. So we'll go ahead and tighten the plug back up. Have to use the same method that we took it out with. Have to put the wrench on there kind of in the wrong orientation. Then we'll get a screwdriver, stick it through the back end of the wrench so that we can get some torque on there. You don't need to over tighten an oil plug. That looks pretty good. And now I'll have to take this stuff off because it's not really dressed in a way that will catch the oil from the oil filter. Okay, now we'll remove the oil filter. A lot of times if you have a good grip, you can just remove it by hand. It's a little snug. So they make various types of oil filter wrenches. This one goes on there, and you put a 3/8 inch ratchet in the hole and remove it that way. Another type is looks something like this, and you basically get it snug and then turn it. Wasn't real tight. Probably could have got it by hand if we'd have tried harder. So any kind of oil filter wrench works. The disadvantage of this type is you have to get the exact right one that fits your filter, and you may not know what size that is, and it won't fit all of your filters. It won't fit your car filter, your truck filter, and your lawnmower filter, unless you're just really, really lucky. This kind has a bigger range, so if you're going to go buy an oil filter wrench and you're going to change oil on multiple things, I recommend this kind. This one has a swivel handle, which makes it nice. You can reach in there and get in better places. So on this deal, I'm going to just hold this paper plate here to catch the oil. More oil will come out when the filter comes off. And there it goes. I'm just going to go ahead and pour that oil out of the filter. And this is running down into my catch pan. Okay, we've got the new filter here. The package on this filter says to pre-fill it with oil. Probably because the volume of the engine oil is so small that by the time you get oil in the filter, you would be running low. So what you do need to do though is get some oil on your finger and run it around that seal, that rubber seal on the outside, because when you put that on, you don't want that seal to stick and bind up. You want it to slide real smoothly across the surface, and so you can get a good tight fit without a leak. Okay, again, doesn't have to be too tight. I never use a wrench to tighten an oil filter. I do have a pretty good grip though, but I just get a rag on there and good turn like that, and oil filter's on. Now all we have to do is refill the engine with the oil. On the oil, there are a lot of opinions. Use your favorite brand. If you don't have a favorite brand, my favorite brand is Mobil 1. So we're going to put some oil in here. Now, judging by how much came out, 1.5 quarts, 2 quarts, I could look up in the manual and see what the capacity is, but since I'm pouring out of a 5-quart jug, I'm not going to know exactly anyway. So what I do, pour a shot in there, get the old dipstick. Okay, I'm not showing anything on the stick. So on the dipstick you have a full mark, a low mark. We're not showing on the dipstick at all, so we'll put another quart or so in, and this is just going by eye. You don't want to overfill, so if you're uncomfortable with pouring out of a 5-quart jug, totally understand that. Do it 1 quart at a time. Once you get it showing on the dipstick, then pour a little in, check, pour a little in, check. Okay, we're going to see where we're at now. You always pause, put the dipstick in, pause for a second, give the oil time to adhere. Okay, I am showing right at the top mark here. So now what you always want to do is start the engine, let the oil flow everywhere it's supposed to go, let the filter get completely filled up, and then check it again. Okay, we've cycled oil through the engine. Now we'll clean the dipstick off again. We will check the oil one more time. Now you can get a good reading. It's right about to the low side of halfway between full and low. So another half a quart or so. Okay, it looks like I'm just right below the full mark right there. So we will leave that there. We don't want to overfill. So that's changing the oil and the oil filter. So we're going to put this side guard back on. Remember, it's got the two features here that go into these two slots. It's got the hole here that's got the little push plug that goes into the hole here. And so it's pretty simple. Just line it up, push it down. Go down here, push that in. There you go.
Watch the entire series to learn how to do all of these things. Thank you for watching how that works.